At the end of the day, we can have all the visions in the world and we can have all the ideologies in the world, but if we can't get people to move towards something and want to do something, whether that's internal people or external people, if you can't get them to move towards something, then you go nowhere. Right?
Is that how you would define influence, Phillip?
100%.
Getting
100%.
people
What can I do, say, and make you feel that's going to make you react in a way that's positive for you and positive for me?
Welcome to the Find Your Influence podcast. This episode, proudly sponsored by the Guinea Group of Companies, an organisation that helps leaders upgrade their mindset, upskill their leadership, and uplift their teams. If you would like the opportunity to sponsor an episode of our podcast, please reach out to the team at the Guinea Group, theguineagroup.com.au, the team at theguineagroup.com.au. Can't wait to hear from you. And if you would like to be a podcast guest, click on the information sheet that is available on the podcast page.
Welcome to the Find Your Influence podcast with Anton Guinea. Whether you're watching or whether you're listening, thank you for joining us. We've got an amazing guest today, Phillip Di Bella, and I used to use DiBella Coffee in a coffee van back in the day. There's a fun fact for you. And for Phillip, entrepreneurship is not just a title, it's a mindset, it's a way of life, and an intelligence. I love that. It is an intelligence grounded in solving problems, staying relevant, and creating meaningful impact. Stop it.
Yeah.
In 2002, Phillip, you founded DiBella Coffee from a small warehouse in Brizzy. Go Brizzy. With one vision, to do coffee better. Phillip saw a gap in the market for a company that combined premium quality coffee, exceptional customer service, and I love this, strong brand storytelling, all delivered at a fair value. That venture grew into Australia's largest specialty coffee brand, driven by an obsession with excellence, innovation, and partnership. Holy shit. And then Phillip sold that business 12 years later, but Phillip's legacy lives on in that organisation, which it would be hard for that legacy not to live on. Today, Phillip's the founder and driving force behind the Coffee Commune, which I'm sure we'll talk about, Australia's first and foremost innovative, collaborative coffee community team. Please welcome Phillip Di Bella. Thanks for joining us, champion.
Thanks, Anton. It's quite an introduction, my friend.
Mate, you deserve it. It's an amazing journey. Mate,
Yes.
for all our listeners and viewers out there, you're sitting in your office or your house in 2002. What was the moment, Phillip? Why, where did it?
Oh, look, the moment of why I started my own company, and I'll give you the short version because I mean it's this powerful message in it is I was working for a place for 9 years that had so much potential. So I was actually working for a coffee roaster that, I did a commerce degree and they offered me a job to build a wholesale business for them. And I did that. And over the 9-year journey, not only did I build them a strong business, I had to keep fighting with the boss on, innovation, on looking after people, on spending money on customers and how to look after people and all the rest of it. And I thought, and I started keeping a diary of all the good things that the company did really, really well. But more importantly, I kept a diary of the stuff that if I owned the company, what would I do different? And then it got to a head point in late 2001, nearly 2002. And I had a discussion with him and said, well, is there going to be any opportunity of me, becoming a partner in the business because I've obviously helped build it. I want to, I'd love to have some shares in it. And he said, no chance. And that was the catalyst to say, well, I've given everything that I can. I've done, I've created something from nothing because it was a cafe that roasted coffee. And then I built a wholesale business for him. He paid me very well. No complaints there. It was a transaction. But the time came in 2002 to say, you know what, let's give this a crack and go out and build my own coffee company. And, and that's what I did. So it came off the back of working in a place that had so much potential, but didn't live that potential. I learned what not to do, which fast tracks your learnings. And it's something I talk about today, 23 years later of having businesses all around the world, is that I say that, from people that do things right, we should look at as well, but we learn more imposter syndrome. We learn to copy, right? But if we really look at something or someone or a business that is getting things wrong, That is where the deep learning comes from, is to be able to dissect what's going wrong, what's the needs they're not filling, what are the problems they're not solving, what's the relevance they're not building, what's the story they're not telling, and from there, you can go on to create your own magic.
Whoa, you're so clear on that. What are they not doing? What's the story they're not telling? What's the relevance they're not building? That is powerful,
Yeah,
man.
and that's what I talk about now in any business, and now with the commune, we work with over 1,800 businesses that are members, part of our community. And there's 3 steps, I say to them, what problem do you solve better than the competition or what's in the marketplace? What products and services are going to make you more relevant than your competition? And then how are you going to tell a more emotionally engaging story than your competition? And to me, the companies that you look around the world, whether they're small or big, they do those 3 things really, really well. They solve a problem, and the problem's not in the product or the service, right? The product, like for DiBella Coffee, we were helping cafe owners make money. That was the problem we solved. It wasn't coffee. They could have bought coffee from 2,000 people. The problem we solve at the Coffee Commune is that we help people accelerate their potential, right? We help them be better tomorrow than today. Now, the relevance in our products and services, well, at DiBella Coffee, it was fresh roasted coffee. It was, we'd help you with your leases, with your marketing, with your training, and all the rest of it. Here at the commune, we advocate, we run work. So we advocate, we do workshops. So we do education. We have a knowledge center. We obviously manufacture coffee. We source coffee for you. So the products and services make us more relevant than anyone else in our industry. And then the third part, which is the part we're still trying to get right at the commune, and I'm never happy with this, being that it's my background, is how do we tell such an emotionally engaging story? How do we outperform the market in the way we tell our story? And if you look at some amazing brands out there, that, and I love using Red Bull. Red Bull's a crap product. It tastes like crap, but the brand's amazing, right? If I could stand up in front of 500 people, and I do this often, and say, who doesn't know the brand Red Bull? Nobody puts their hand up. Everyone knows the brand. And then you'll say, how many people drink it? And you'll be lucky if 1% put their hand up. Yet everybody in that room knows the brand. And I say that's the power of telling a story. That's the power of emotionally engaging. And it's not a great product, right? You can't tell me Red Bull tastes great. But the problem they're solving is not the product. The problem they're solving is a feeling of lifted, elevated emotion, experience, of fun, of excitement, energy, So a lot of people out there are building products and services, but they're not really understanding what their product or service is actually doing. What problem is it solving in the marketplace?
At a deeper level.
At a much deeper level, right? And that's where the impact comes from, even from a personal point of view. How do we build such an impact with people that when we're gone, they remember the impact that you've had, right?
Mate, I'm telling you, we're doing an influence podcast, and the 2 most common words that come up, one of them's impact, the other one's inspiration. And I think it starts with influence. You're trying to influence someone to do something, but at the end of the day, if they remember you, you've had an impact. But if they want to model you, you're inspired. You've
I love
inspired.
it. Yeah. Inspire people to take action, right? It's something we used to talk about. How do you leave a room and somebody feels like they need to go and do something?
Inspire to action. Phillip Di Bella, top of the class. Phillip, big question for you. So who, you grew a business before you bought your own or set up your own. Have you ever had a conversation with that old leader? Is he still in business?
Yeah, well, funny enough, I went on and married his daughter, my friend. So I don't think we had many conversations, but I mean, he was estranged from the family and all the rest of it. But yeah, I went on to marry his daughter.
There you go.
So,
Well,
but he's passed away now, and but he got to sit on the sidelines and see what I created, and I never had a malice bone in my body. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am if I hadn't experienced the stuff that I experienced, and it's something I talk to kids about now. I've got 2 beautiful children myself. They're about to turn 18 and 16, and since they were born, I tell them, grades are good, but work ethic and winning with people stand above your grades. So if you learn how to win with people and you've got a good work ethic, they're going to trump your grades every day of the week. And, I always had a strong work ethic because of my family upbringing with my father and my mother, my brother, my sister, my uncles. I had an amazing circle of people around me. So they taught me great work ethic. And they also inspired me to be good with people. People come over, you open your house, you're warm, you're friendly. What can I do for you? Can I be in service? Can I help you? That's how I was brought up, right? And you combine that And I think, you sprinkle a little bit of luck in there, which is timing and opportunity. You sprinkle a little bit of knowledge in there, and all of a sudden, you can create some amazing things.
And I love the people one, Philip. I've already done a session this morning on
Oh
DISC.
yeah, disc.
I
Yeah.
love DISC. Like it's just mate, it's a game changer for teams. And I put a reel up. You haven't done DISC with your team, you're leaving money on the table.
Mm, mm.
People are your business. You get, what did Richard Branson say, Philip? And you'll be into this as well. If you get your team right, you get your staff right, they'll go and look after your clients anyway. Staff,
100%.
clients second.
Yeah, Branson's a big fan. I'm a big fan of Branson's. I got to spend a week at Necker Island, my friend. I'll show you something. Here we go. Let's take you on a journey.
Let's go on the journey.
I looked a little bit different then.
Yeah, there, did you?
There you go.
Oh, stop. You look so different then.
That's me and Richard Branson at Necker Island getting drunk at his bar. So I got to hang out with him for a few days, and yeah, he was quite the inspiration and one of my idols growing up, because that's one of the things I love about brands and people, and he does it. There's not many that do it better than him, right? Multiple brands, and he's a brand business, right? He's a brand business, and he's a visionary, and he's a strategist, and then he lets people get on and do what they were doing. And when I was there, actually at Necker, he was just signing the deal for their luxury collection over in Africa with a family to do one of their luxury resorts over there. They'd signed the deal there right in front of us. It was pretty cool to watch. And just seeing the way that he maneuvers people, and people at the forefront of what he does, whether it's his staff, whether it's his family, and his wife's now passed away, unfortunately, this year. But the way that he operates with people is phenomenal. So at the end of the day, we can have all the visions in the world and we can have all the ideologies in the world, but if we can't get people to move towards something and want to do something, whether that's internal people or external people, if you can't get them to move towards something, then you go nowhere, right?
Is that how you would define influence, Philip?
100%. 100%.
Getting people
What can I do, say, and make you feel that's going to make you react in a way that's positive for you and positive for me? Because, it's one of those things. One of the most profound things I ever heard many years ago from a priest actually was, if the world spent more time arguing on what they could do for each other versus arguing what they can get from each other, then the world would be a better place, right? And it's something that I've always done, and I heard that 30 years ago. And it's something that I've adopted in my workplace is, the more you do for the business, the more the business will do for you. The more you do for each other, the more each other should do for you. It's if you have this constant battle about what can I do for you, right? Without, of course, giving up oneself and
Of course.
and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But if you had the mindset that, hey, I'm in service to you, and what can I do for you versus what can I take from you? I mean, you just change the game, right? It's just a different level of thinking.
Oh, and that's our strategy, Philip. By the way, just very, very quickly, did you get the parcel we sent out?
Oh, yes, I did. Sorry. Thank you so much. I loved it. The ice pack went straight in the freezer. My apologies. First thing I was meant to do is thank you. And the books here, because I'm taking it with me on holidays to read it.
Sure.
I like small books. They're my type of books. So
I love it.
thank you for that.
Oh, and look, and I wouldn't have even remembered it unless you mentioned be in service. Like, it's not hard to go, well, someone's hurt a hamstring. What are they going to
Mate,
need?
it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Honestly, and my apologies. I was thinking, I've got to thank Anton. I've got to thank Anton.
That's not please, that's not why I ask. It's an example for everyone listening. Philip and I are so connected on this. And Deb's in our office listening to all our podcasts, as Deb does. But if you give more than you get, all of a sudden you'll get more than you give.
Well, there's your emotional engagement. I mean, I came into my office and here's a package, and I opened it up and there's the book and there's the ice pack and a note, saying get better and your hamstring. And it's just like, wow, that's thoughtfulness, right? And that's, you live that obviously every day, that you're thoughtful.
That session this morning was a free session. And how much work are we going to get out of that? The people, we've got to take this to our team. It's just give more, Philip. So I just love how you've said this about 3 times, so I've written it down. Be in
service.
I'm in service. I love that word. Now, so very quickly, you've defined influence for us. Who's influenced you, Philip? You said your parents, and
Yep, yep,
everyone says that.
yep.
Anyone professionally? Was it that first business owner? Like who
Yeah,
did?
definitely. The person who got it wrong. So the person who obviously went on to be my father-in-law,
Yeah.
but he influenced me because of what I saw there was wasted potential, right? And one of the things I talk about now is, am I being the best that I can be? You know,
Oh.
and that's what I say to others. Are you being the best you can be? Not the best somebody else wants you to be, not the best you think you are. Are you being the best that you can be? Are you being better today than what you were yesterday? Right. And that's why I'm big on outcomes, purpose, impact driven. What am I doing today that's going to help myself, help somebody else, help the environment, help the people around me? Right. And it's a powerful thing, right? But of course, with powerful things come negative things. At times I lose myself, or at times I'm over giving, or I'm oversharing, or I'm over,
Committed.
and that can be not a negative thing as well, because for many reasons. But the in but then I come back to another word that I love that starts with I, and that is intention. So if we sit there and have a look at people's intention, right, and I think intention trumps judgment. So when somebody goes, oh, you're judgmental. Well, we were all judgmental. Judgmental is not a bad word. It's just, are we positive or are we negatively judging, right? Are we opinionating judging? If we don't have judgment, we'd fall over when we stand up, right? Of course, we've got to have judgment. But the difference between positive and negative judgment is understanding somebody's intent. Now, if somebody's intent is to genuinely hurt somebody, well, you have every right to judge that person, right? Negatively. If they might have hurt somebody, but their intention was for good, well, then you might look at it in a different way. So the word intention is another very, very powerful word, along with obviously inspiration, impact, influence.
Love it.
And I always say, that when my parents told me not to do something, their intention was good. It was not bad.
No, that's right. Nice.
It wasn't, oh, you're always telling me what to do. It's, well, you don't want harm to come to me, or you want me to be the best version of myself. And I think one thing that we don't do enough of, Anton, and something that I encourage a lot in any circle, is meaningful conversations. People don't have meaningful conversations. There's too much noise and not enough talk
I
in the
know.
world.
And do you know
People
what?
don't sit there. Yeah. Tell
No,
me, yeah.
I was going to say, and I think, Philip, that's why podcasting has gone nuts. I think people want to hear
Yeah.
deep, impactful, important dialogue.
Agreed. Meaningful conversations, right? They don't want to
Mm.
hear transcripted bullshit. Like people sometimes say to me, and there's one thing I loved about your thing. There was no questions, there's no nothing. But some people will go to, I'll send you the questions. And I say, please don't. I don't want the questions. I mean, just tell me your audience. Tell me your audience. Tell me what your intention is with the podcast. And I don't want scripted. I don't want, oh, we can edit that out. Well, why?
That's right.
I mean, it's meaningful conversation, right? It's talking about stuff that matters, and not everything that I talk about is going to matter or
To
mean
everyone.
something to everybody, and that's okay. If you listen to 10 conversations and you pick up one thing from each one, you're 10 times better than what you were, right?
Love it, mate. Love it. And then the next thing that I'd love to know, mate, who are you most proud of? So, the reason I started the Influence podcast was I couldn't find one at the time, and we're into influence, and DISC is the I's influence, and I'm 90%. So I love humans. And I kept getting the question, Anton, how do I be more influential? So I thought I've got to do some work around this space and talk to amazing humans like yourself. One of the things that you've got is you bring people on this journey. Who are you most proud of, Philip, that you've seen the growth? Maybe it's the commune, and maybe it is that community, but is there a business owner in there you thought, gee, they've got a long way to go, and you were able to bring them on a journey? Like, who are you most proud of?
Yeah, look, probably two, the most proud of would have to be my kids. And I'm not being cliche.
I get it.
Especially at the moment, me and their mother have gone through a separation. It's all amicable. I think it was the world's easiest and quickest divorce you've ever seen, because everyone was so amicable. She's very inspirational, intelligent. But just watching the kids, about to turn 18 and 16 across all of their journey so far, the way they've adapted to us being in business. I used to travel 3 weeks a month.
Right.
I wasn't always the most pleasant person to be around. When I'd come back, I'd be stressed.
Okay.
Always obviously adored my kids and
course.
hung out with them and did stuff. But I'd be, you were distracted. You're on your phone, or you're taking phone calls. You know, one of the reasons I sold the business was obviously to get my weight. I had a bad weight problem at the time, get rid of the weight and spend all school holidays with the kids. And I'm giving you the context so that people understand that it's not just being cliche. Our kids have had to have this journey of, that comes with parents being busy, parents being in business, parents being under stress. And just the way that they've constantly adapted and change and watching them how they treat people, like they'll look at you in the eye, they'll shake your hand, they talk to you like, you think, gee, these kids have been here before. And then just recently watching them in the last 6 months navigate me and obviously their mother, and we're a very strong family as a family. But my wife and I are just different likes, different times. Still adore her, think she's amazing human. But the family, seeing them adapt to the change in the family unit, which is not easy, right? Because we've spent the last 7 years going on school holiday, 16 weeks away together, and I take one of the kids to school and pick them up. But just watching the way that they've adapted and absorbed, and without any malice, without any hate, without any no excuse to rebel. But yeah, so most proud of definitely them, and to give that context so that it's not just listeners going, oh, it's just cliche, it's, yeah, I'm proud of my kids. Well, got every reason to be proud of them. And I'm actually one of those parents that if my kid did the wrong thing, I'm still going to love them, but I'm going to tell them they did the wrong thing.
Of course.
And if you do the wrong thing, then you're going to get punished for the wrong thing. And when they actually grew up with good behavior gets rewarded, bad behavior has consequences, right? And that steps out into the big world too. If you do the wrong thing, I'm still going to love you, but I'm not going to protect you and wrap my arms around you and tell you it's all okay because when you've done the wrong thing. So wrong is wrong and right is right, and you got to live your consequences, right? But the commune's got so many inspiring stories. We've without mentioning brands or names, but there was one that was on the brink of bankruptcy. We sat down, we went through the numbers, we remodeled, we shut down their facility for them. We got everything cleaned up. They came and worked out of the commune. They've been here now 12 months. And they went from edge of broke to now making, $350,000, $400,000 profit, because they closed down their facility. They got rid of the release expenses, capex expenses, overheads. They cut back their staff. And more importantly, not just the numbers, they've stepped into a community that wraps their arms around them, whereas before they were running solo. And that's why I built the commune. That's what makes the Coffee Commune different. It's the only kind of it in the country. It's a facility where you can manufacture 100 grams of coffee to thousands of kilos of coffee. We do that with charity. So we do that with Girl Guides, Wounded Heroes to raise money for veterans. We do it with Food Bank. We do it with all different people, that are building product-based, giving businesses. But we also do it for professional brands that have done startups. We also do breakdowns. So if coffee roasters broke down, they can't go to competitors, but they can come here now. So we've built something that's pretty unique and different. And then on the other side is we've built like a chamber of commerce without it being a chamber. We're self-funded. We've put our own money into it. We don't take government grants or government money. There's 1,850 members, I believe. We're in our 5th year of operation. So yeah, it's a beautiful project. I'm proud of the project. It's not making any money yet, but we'll get there. But it's having high impact, and it really, they're the stories that really get me out of bed, right? I mean, I'm fortunate enough to have enough money to do what I want when I want. By exiting several businesses, not just DiBella Coffee. I used to own Roasting Warehouse and I sold that. I had which is out of Melbourne, which is Australia wide. They've done a great job. I used to have Abbotsford Road in New York, and I sold that.
Whoa.
That's still going strong now. I
Whoa.
used to have Coffee by DiBella in China, and I sold that. I've still got India. I'm a shareholder in India's business, but
Wow.
That stuff it's not about the money. It's about that impact. It's about, generating jobs and helping people and being part of an ecosystem. And
Wow.
hence why I work with One Life Club. One Life Club's got 500, 600 business owners from million turnover to 300, 400 million turnover. And, I facilitate 6 groups out of that and work with business owners. And that's what drives me, but that's what enables me. So, I mean, that's why I can't give you one story. There's that many stories that I get exposed to of people but you know what the key fundamentals are, Anton? Vision, planning, execution, environment, and resilience.
Wow.
That's the common denominator that I see. They're the key core ingredients that I see amongst those that have, been on the brink and have just risen to the top. Is their vision, their ability to have an amazing vision, their ability to plan, their ability to execute, the ability to create the right environment around them, right? And then be resilient. It's not always going to be a yes. Sometimes it's just going to be a no. Sometimes you're the pigeon and sometimes you're the statue. You can't always be the pigeon, and you don't always, and you certainly shouldn't always
Don't
be
have
the
to be the
statue.
statue. Mate, top shelf. That's beautifully put. I'm gonna have a chat to Deb today and see how we introduce that strategy into our business. I think we've probably got the resilience, the environment, and we probably need the vision, the planning, and the execution.
Well, everything starts with a vision. What do you see? I mean, people said to me, "What did you see at DiBella Coffee?" And I said,
Yeah.
"I don't see another coffee company. There's 2,000 of them. You can buy coffee anywhere. I see a coffee company that creates an amazing brand, is known for great coffee, but it needs to help cafe owners make money. It needs to be a service business, not a product business." And this is in 2002 when everyone's building product business, right? And I'm going, no, I want to create a service business. And now if you look at the commune, we've just commercialized everything we started doing and more. Well, we started doing with at DiBella, which was helping the hospitality industry. And so now we're because of our numbers too, we're a very powerful group. So we're able to influence government, and sit down and talk to them about policy and all the rest of it at local, state and federal level. I mean, our local here in Brisbane is amazing. Our council, our state government's fantastic. And unfortunately, our federal government needs a bit of a shake-up, but because they just don't want to work with industry like everybody else does, right? So they think they have to have all the answers. And it's certainly not how I've run any company of mine. The people are my best asset. The knowledge economy is underrated. Where's the smartest place in the world and the richest is the cemetery. So much wisdom dies within people and the stories never get told. Another reason why podcasting is fantastic, right? Ability to get that wisdom out of people and that intel and that knowledge economy, something that you don't hear a lot about. And I talk about it a lot, the knowledge economy. What value do you put on the knowledge economy? People's knowledge, people's wisdom, people's lived experiences. We don't share that enough, right?
Shit. Such great content. Thank you so much, man, for sharing and being able to articulate this so beautifully. It's just amazing content. Our listeners and our viewers will be getting heaps of value, and I cannot wait to share this episode. So what I love, Philip, and you've probably talked about this a few times during the session, like if you had a leadership mantra, like I know people are first and all that sort of stuff, and you've said so many things that are probably relevant to this, but I'm just wondering, what's that thing when you walk in to the commune or when you walked into DiBella Coffee, maybe on the tough days, like on 2003, when you're thinking, shit, have I done the right thing here? All you had was a vision, and you were stroke maybe in the early days of a business. What was your leadership vision to actually bring people on the journey?
Well, it was that. It was, are you being the best that you can be? So it used to be the best you can be. Are you better today than yesterday? And my life mantra, which will go on my tombstone, is life is measured in moments. Life is measured in moments, not possessions. It's something that everyone knows that's what I want put on my is that life is measured in moments. Because there's no removalist truck following a hearse to a funeral. Unfortunately, I've had to go to a few funerals this year, and I keep looking behind, and I go, see, there's no removalist truck. Our possessions are coming with us.
No bank vault behind it.
No, my friend, and it's one of those things that you say, well, you listen to the eulogy, the most powerful part of obviously any celebration, whatever faith you have. All faith is important, no matter what it is. When people get up and they talk about your memory and they talk about who you are and the impact that they had, that is your true moment. Hopefully that when we pass, we can sit there and listen to it from above. But why not take it one step further? One of the things that I've always believed in and I speak about, and it was actually Richard Gerber says it. If you're ever in doubt of your purpose or who you are or who you want to be, get a piece of paper and a pen and write your own eulogy. You know, write your own eulogy, and what would you want people to say about you? Well, what do you want people to, how do you want them to remember you?
How do you
And
want to?
there you will cover words like it's a powerful exercise, feel free to use it in your sessions because because in that exercise, you know what you'll cover? You'll cover impact, influence, intention. You'll cover all of those. How am I going to inspire others? You'll cover that by getting somebody to just write their own eulogy and say, and I think you'll find it pretty hard to not find anyone write something where you could say, whoa, that's the impact you want to have. That's the influence you want to do. This is who you want to be. This is what this looks like. So it really is, so there's a couple there, but I always talked about be the best you can be. Are you better today than yesterday? Life's measured in moments, it's,
Wow.
are you, what are people going to say about you when you're not in the room?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I like that as well. Oh, mind you, all of yours are good ones. What will people say when you're not around?
Yeah, and that's brand, right? That's personal brand.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
And you talked about Richard Branson before, and I love how you could show a photo of Richard Branson on the wall. He's got this massive personal brand, but he's also we know that Virgin's Richard Branson, but we also know Richard Branson's Richard Branson, and he's got an island, and he does stuff personally. And I think the personal brand, I think, has to come before a professional brand. That's just my take on life.
Well, it is. I think I agree 100%. Look at any of the brands that anybody knows.
Yeah.
Look at the people behind them. I mean, Ferrari. Look at Enzo Ferrari.
Lamborghini.
Branson. You've got all of them. Look at Apple.
Yeah.
With Steve Jobs. I mean, the personal brand develops the company brand, right?
I love it. DiBella Coffee, Phillip.
DiBella Coffee, totally. I mean, DiBella Coffee was a family company. It was about care. It worked with owner-operators. I mean, that was my background. I came out of a strong family, united family, be in service to people, and that's what I built. I built because we gravitate to what we know versus what we don't know, right?
Of course.
We play in the space of the known versus the unknown, which again, that strength can be a weakness at times because sometimes we need to play in the unknown, right? But it really is about, when people say, why are you so driven? And I go, well, because I sit down every year and I do it. I've done it with my kids since they were born. Where do I want to be in December 2026? So that's the latest exercise I've been doing with groups that I mentor and facilitate. I've done mine already. Where do I want to be? So I'm sitting here now in December 2025 and I'm looking at the year that has been. But at the same time, I've now mapped out the outcome. Where do I want to be in December 2026? Personally, professionally, and then family or circle of friends. Where do I want to be with my family and circle of friends? Where do I want to be professionally and where do I want to be personally in December 2026? And that's all part of that. There's so much power in doing that. And I urge the listeners to please do this. Get a piece of paper and a pen or get it on the notes on your phone, which is where I put mine, and write down 3 or 4 measurable outcomes. So for me personally, I want to maintain my weight under 90 kilos. That's important for me, personally. I want to read 10 self-development books across different areas in a year. I want to tick 5 things off my fun list that I put on there. So they're 3 things that are so measurable, right? They're tangible, they're outcomes. So that drives me. And people go, how are you disciplined with the gym? Well, because I've got an outcome. Why are you disciplined in listening to audiobooks? Because I've got an outcome. Why are you always searching for what you're going to do in the next holiday or your next to tick off? Because I've got an outcome and it's written down. And then business is the same thing. Write down that business outcome. And then it will drive you. It will make you get out of bed. If you want it bad enough, you'll just naturally do it. But more importantly, you can't achieve what you can't see. And that's where vision comes into it. You can't, what measures gets done, whatever cliche you want to use. If you're not mapping it down, it's that whole thing. Here's the keys to my car. Or where am I going? Don't know. Well, you don't need the keys to my car. If you don't know where to go and you don't know where you're going, you don't need a car, right? But if I tell you drive from Brisbane to the Gold Coast, here's the keys to my car. I've started with the outcome.
Start with outcome. Wow. Mate, I love that. It's such simple but profound messages.
Oh, very simple. You know what, Anton? I'm a simple kind of guy, but
Me
quite
too.
complex.
Me too.
But quite complex, right? I think life's pretty simple. I think we complicate it.
We overcomplicate it. That's right.
Yeah.
I always say that I'm the master, Philip, of taking a complex thing and just making it down into the 3 bullet points that you can
Yeah,
go and
yeah.
use.
And you know what I've experienced lately? That a lot of the work I'm doing
Yeah.
is this can be the most powerful tool, but it can be the most detrimental tool too. What's going on in your head is so important. Because I spend a lot of time. Some people spend too much time in the rear vision mirror. Some people I'm one of those that sometimes spends too much time in the too forward facing. So what I'm doing is learning to bring it back to a little bit more in the now. More in the now. Of course, you've got to have that forward vision and forward facing, but I'm learning about myself that I need to bring things back more to now, to slow it down, to make sure that I'm living in that now moment. And that sometimes you're just going to have a crappy day, right?
Yeah, I get it.
For whatever reason.
And the secret is to have, say, like an egg timer, and just don't spend too much time there. Set the timer, spend the half
Yeah.
an hour in a shitty mood.
Yeah, there
But
you go. That's a great idea.
when that buzzes at you, s- turn that off and you reframe it. Go and do something.
Love it. Actually, it's a great tip.
Yeah.
I might use that one, my friend.
Done. Deb,
Yeah.
could you send Philip an egg timer, pretty please?
You're too kind.
Oh, mate, anytime, mate, anytime. Mate, amazing. Look, I cannot thank you enough. We're 30 to 40 minutes in, so that's about the sweet spot that people listen.
I appreciate you having me. I mean, and congratulations on what you're doing, because you're doing one of the things that I love, and that's that sharing that knowledge economy and sharing, people's stories, and that hopefully it helps inspire others to take action, and it has an impact on somebody's life, and just like when I'm listening to other people's podcasts, which I love doing, and listening to their stories and where they are and where they've come from, and everyone's got a story. Everyone, and if someone wants to take something away from this, if nothing else, everybody's got a story and be proud of it. And if you want story to be different, do different. If you want your story to be different, do different. But everybody's got a story. Everybody's got, a purpose. Everybody's got a reason to be here. And if they don't, they can easily create one.
Write your story.
Write your story, write your eulogy. What do you want to be known for? Who do you want to be? And break it down, personal, professional, with your family and with your friends. What do you want to be known for? What do you want them to say about you?
Powerful, man. Powerful stuff. Thank you so much, Phil.
Anton, thank you.
Mate, you're a legend. Could I ask one huge favor?
Anything, yeah.
Is there anyone that you know, and it might be someone in the commune, the way that I get amazing guests like you on, Philip, is I ask people for intros. So I'll say to someone, hey, who do you know that you think would be able to tell a great story? Like, who do you know that's got a great story that you could intro me to? Is that all right?
It's the ones that comes to mind straight away, and she's just a powerhouse. Is Dominic Lamb. She used to be the Queensland Small Business Commissioner. She was the CEO of National Retail. She was a Small Business Commissioner, and she's now the Director of, I think, Stakeholder Engagement for the Olympics for Andrew Leveris. And Dominic is a mother of two, always been a professional, used to travel a lot. She's helped small, medium businesses. She articulates beautifully. She's an inspiration when it comes to a professional, amazing woman that's married. So she's got to juggle marriage. She's got to juggle high profile business and kids.
Wow.
She is one of those inspirational women powerhouses. I think she'd be great for the show, because especially women would get a lot out of it.
Oh, absolutely.
And men would too, because they'd sit there and go, well, I can be married with a woman that can do it all.
Thank you. I'll
send me an email and I'll make that intro. But she comes to mind straight away because she'd be phenomenal.
Best ever. Thank you so much, Philip. Thanks.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. We just had an amazing guest on to another amazing podcast of Find Your Influence. My name's Anton Guinea, and for 20 years I have been sitting, working with, training, coaching and consulting leaders at all levels of organisations. I have coached Gen Z leaders right through to baby boomer leaders. I've done 1,500 one-on-one leadership coaching sessions. My mission on this planet is to help leaders create high-performing and psychologically safe teams. If you want to upgrade your leadership, upskill your teams, or upskill your leadership, please reach out. you can get me at anton@theguineagroup.com.au. Please tune into our next episode. These podcast chats are amazing. The value and the information that you get will help you be more influential and help you be a better leader.